Farm Credit of Western Kansas presents Open Spaces Sports Shorts with Rich Epp.
Well, Jeff, let's talk a little bit about the Oakley football team. You dove in here last year as your first year as the head coach of Oakley. You brought with you here, obviously, your own philosophy, so to speak, and they've had to have a little bit of a transition. How do you felt like that worked last year and through the summer this year?
Last year it was new to the kids, new to me. First time coaching 11-man. I had very few kids that had varsity experience. They might have played special teams, but as far as stepping into an offensive or defensive role, very few had ever done that. And then when you put a new program out there and, new expectations, everybody's, not real confident yet. As the year went on, I thought the kids progressed very well, and we've had a tremendous summer.
Making that transition coaching-wise from 8-man to 11-man, how difficult was that for you, and do you like it?
Different in areas. A lot of the same stuff. Actually my scheme in 8-man that I derived from Coach Ayers was an 11-man scheme. We just had to break it down to where you don't have as many guys eligible, you don't have as many guys on the line. But a lot of the same rules, a lot of the same philosophy. You just get one more blocker in there now or two more, and it all works out.
Now, you mentioned Coach Ayers. He was, of course, your high school football coach. He's a mentor to you.
Yes, sir.
How often do you talk to him, and did you talk to him through the season and throughout the summer in terms of just getting advice from him? Do you do that or not?
Yeah, I would say we probably talk at least 4 to 5 times a week during season. Last year we both struggled a little bit, something we both of us weren't used to. So, we would talk throughout the week, always call each other and wish each other luck on a Thursday night, always call each other on a Saturday morning and talk about, things we could have done different, or, things that kids did well, or, just things to, when our daubers were down, we would call each other and give each other, a little bit of upbeat.
As you look ahead to this season now, you always want leadership. Every coach looks for leaders on their football team. Doesn't always have to be seniors. In your case, who are your leaders coming into this season?
I've got some seniors. I always vote for 4 captains. I expect them to take on a bigger role than I expect out of anyone else. And this year my captains were Cade Hemmer, Ellis Slack, Wyatt Abel, and Morgan Raines. So I expect, those guys, when tough starts to get tough, I expect them to say, hey, let's go, we got this, and, take them different places that we haven't been before.
If you had to tell me, or I'm asking you, what would be the strength of your team? Is it going to be defense? Is it going to be offense? Where specifically do you think you lean to, and where's your strength?
It's tough to tell right now. I hope that our strength is defensively, but you never know until you roll the dice and stuff starts to get rolling. The biggest thing that I hope our strength is how these guys come together when it starts to get tough. I hope that's our biggest strength. Everything else will fall into place, but if these guys can lean on each other and help each other through the tough times and through the best times, we'll be fine.
The Activities Association came out with a new rule that says you can't have 2-a-day practices here in the first 5 days of the preseason. The opening of the season is on the last day of August. It's going to be here really, really quick. How have you adjusted? How will that adjustment be?
I did a lot more stuff throughout the summer. I'm allowed to do stuff up till June 14th this year. So we would lift in the mornings, and a couple times a week I would bring different groups in to try to get our mental stuff down. That way I'm not, scrambling here once practice starts to try to get it done. I don't think that I'm really in favor of the 1-a-day practices. I understand why they're doing it, but at the same time, you got to worry about kids getting hurt. Hopefully, coaches across the state have well conditioned their teams throughout the summer. I know that I've tried to do that, and once you put the pads on, you kind of worry about if they're going to be ready for all the physicality through that first game. You don't want injuries because when you limit to one practice a day, now you're limiting everything else. You're limiting the contact. They've already limited that for live contact through a practice, how many minutes you can do that per week, and it just gets tougher and tougher. And in the big aspect of things, yeah, they were thinking about keeping kids healthier to an extent, but at the same time, you have to throw those other things in there of, are you benefiting them or actually hurting them worse? So it's something.
Let's look at your schedule a little bit, and let's talk a little bit about the conference that you're in, a tough conference, the Mid-Continent League. You had a state champion out of there, Smith Center, last year. How do you fit into the conference race, and how do you compare with other teams in the conference? Norton, Phillipsburg, Smith Center, not Stockton, but Plainville, and et cetera.
You know, a lot of these teams in the MCL, you know, you're talking about Phillipsburg, Smith Center, Plainville, La Crosse, some of those guys, they've been built on a program. So when that happens, you know, you may graduate a lot of seniors, but those kids are confident in the way that they've handled the program and all the wins that they have accumulated, and they just have that confidence factor of when stuff gets tough. And, you know, this year I hope that we are starting to turn the corner and believing in ourselves and believing that we can compete with those teams, because I truly feel like we've taken the step in the weight room, you know, in the mental factor of the game to be able to compete with those guys. I just hope that our kids are that confident, and that, you know, we can take that step to get our foundation set and, you know, continue to add with those pillars to, you know, to build something here.
Well, listen, good luck to you as you open up the season and go through the season for the Oakley Plainsmen. Your second year here, best of luck to you, and we'll follow you, of course, on Open Spaces Sports on a daily game-by-game basis throughout the season. Good luck to you.
All right, thanks, Mr. Ed.
All right, Jeff Hennick visiting with us, the head football coach of the Oakley Plainsmen, brought to you in part by the many sponsors throughout the Oakley area and Farm Credit of Western Kansas. Rich Epp on OpenSpacesSports.com.